This is a place.
This is the place?
This is a place. We want to talk about. This is a place.
Welcome to this week's episode of This is a Place podcast. My name is Nate, and with me is a guy who wants to know, do people laugh out loud in Hawaii? Or is it just a low ha? Brandon.
That's a good one.
Yeah? So I had on a t-shirt. If you know me, I like funny t-shirts.
You like
I
to
got
see
one
them.
that says, I'm a little bit cooler than you. And it's like a big cooler with a small cooler that you put your sodas in.
Does your
I want
wife?
to get.
Well, go ahead and tell me what I want to get.
Oh, the t-shirt I want to get is my favorite childhood memory is my back not hurting. I want to get that one.
It's a good memory.
But what were you saying about my wife? Leave my wife's name out of your mouth.
But does your wife give you any grief for the clothes you wear? If it's t-shirts rather than nice shirts, dressing nice, dressing like, as my wife would call it, an adult.
Like an adult. Not really. If we are going out and it's something outside of Chili's or Applebee's where you can wear a tank top too and not feel out of place, then she will make me put on, I call it my Mr. Rogers sweater or something like that. Not really.
Your Mr. Rogers sweater. I'm trying to think of which one this is. The gray
this
one?
This cardigans. I got a bunch of cardigans that she's bought me over the years.
Okay.
I swear every time I go to the store, she's like, what about this one? I'm like, I got like 12 of them. Like, I don't need another one.
So she's subtly trying to have you dress nice.
Kind of.
But usually doesn't enforce or push very hard, sounds like.
If I wanted to make my wife really happy and surprise her, I would clean out over half of my t-shirts that I have.
She would be happy about that.
Yes, and she asks me all the time. Once or twice a year, she asks me to dejunk all the t-shirts I have.
Okay, so this isn't just
I have a ton.
It's not a fight that I just have with my wife.
Nope. No, I think that's there's even, what was it called? Jason Warburton, Kronk, and what's his name? Patrick Warburton and what was the show called?
Patrick Warburton and David Spade.
David Spade.
It's a show, and they had a bit about it.
It was a good show. Let me look it up real quick. Rules of Engagement. Did you ever watch that one?
I might have caught it in passing.
It's I like it. I just like Patrick. I just love his voice. I thought it was a good show. It ran for like
David
6
Putty,
or 7.
you mean?
Yeah, Putty. This isn't my face. Squeakity, squeakity, squeak, squeaker.
It's pretty good.
This poison. He's funny. But there's an episode. So it's he and his wife. They live like in a New York apartment or whatever. So it's kind of like a Seinfeld-ish show, sitcom. There's an episode where she wants him to get rid of all of his t-shirts and he can't get rid of them. So what she does, she just like cuts them up and makes them into a quilt. But then it gets even more annoying because every night he's going over every memory of each t-shirt or something like that. So, but my wife would have to make probably 17 quilts.
That's a lot of t-shirts.
And that only probably cover half the t-shirts I have. I got too many. So
we did just recently dejunk and got rid of a lot of clothes we don't wear anymore. And maybe much to my dismay, clothes that don't fit and probably never will fit again.
Yeah. Do you have like a fat and skinny section in your closet?
My fat and skinny section has been, I put all the skinny stuff into a bag on the side of my closet.
A just in case bag?
Just in case. But I finally...
Emergency skinny.
Probably now that I've got rid of it, I'll lose all the weight and be able to fit into all that stuff. But it was probably time for a lot of stuff. But I just have a hard time buying clothes myself. And so I don't frequently get new stuff. And so if I do, it's because my wife buys it for me, or there's a really cool band t-shirt I want to buy.
Yeah.
So I'm not really, my clothes are not adult as my wife would say.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got the regular t-shirts you buy, then I first feel like every sports tournament you do, you get another t-shirt. So I got a ton of sports t-shirts. Now I'm just really buying t-shirts and stuff that I think that are funny, and mostly tank tops because I like playing the pickleball in tank tops
Hmm.
because
Helps you breathe better.
it helps you breathe better, sure, but I get a little sweaty. You've noticed that when I play
Well,
basketball,
when I
and
say
it's hard.
you, I mean your body.
Your body, pretty hot. Yeah, it just let the t-shirt stick to my armpits, and then it feel like somebody's holding me back. Somebody's trying to stop me from playing.
Just let me play.
Let me play.
There
But
was one time I had it was a polo shirt. If I wear nicer clothes, I've got a bunch of polos I'll wear when I go into the office. But I had this one. It was a yellow, it was like an orangey and blue one. And I really
mhm.
liked this polo. My wife thought it looked like trash. And one day she did the cardinal, I guess pretty close to if she just cut them up, but she just hit it into one of the DI bags one day, so it was gone forever. I still haven't forgot or forgiven her for that.
Women.
Mm. But you know what? We got pretty cool wives, I must say. They let us do our thing. They've put up with, as a matter of fact, 3 years of our podcast. Happy 3 year anniversary.
Has it been 3 years already?
It has, I think, actually last week's episode qualifies as our closer to 3 year anniversary, but we've eclipsed it now. So we've officially made it 3 years.
3 years. Feels like it's only been 2.5 years.
It's just
That's
flown
crazy.
by.
I still remember I was just at Target the other day. I think we met at Target Starbucks or something to kind of originally
Oh, when
plan
we had our
out.
planning meeting. Yeah,
Yeah. And I was just thinking about that the other day, and I'm like, gosh, how long has that been? But
that was,
it's
yeah.
been cool, man. We've said this like 1,000 times, like all this stuff that we've seen and done that there's no way we would have done even a quarter of it over the last 3 years on our own, right?
That's a good point.
So still love the excuse of the podcast to get out there and see and do things that we never would have known about.
I will say we did a lot more going out earlier on, a lot more,
We're more ambitious
a little more ambitious. I mean,
before you
we did
started
it.
becoming a father.
I was still a father when we started.
Sure. Well, your kid was young, so it was easier back then, right?
Yeah, we could take her with us, and it could even be you, me, and the baby, and it would be fine. Now I've got a toddler and a baby, so it makes it a little more complicated, but we still do get out. And I mean, we're wrapping up now our Wendover experience. That was a whole, I mean,
Almost a month.
you can't say we don't do things, because
It's true.
obviously we
Well,
did.
we've done, and we've got two more episodes coming out where we went out and actually hit the field.
Yeah.
So
No,
we've got almost like 2 months of episodes of in-person experience.
I know. That's kind of what I'm saying is we kind of went through a patch of not going out and doing stuff as much. Now we're really heavy going out and doing stuff. So it's just kind of I was
It's because
reminiscent.
we've been bottled up inside during the winter and we
Yeah,
need to get out of the
that's
house.
true. That's true.
Springtime is here. Speaking about cleaning out t-shirts, it's springtime, spring cleaning. So, oh man, we've got to have 12 garage sales this summer just to get rid of half the crap we have.
You know what? You've been saying that for the last 3 years.
3 years, maybe four
At
since I've
least
known.
longer, yeah. 4 or 5, however long we've known each other at this point.
Right.
But it is fitting that we are wrapping up our first overnight podcast trip, and we're celebrating our 3 years. I think it was a pretty good celebration of the podcast to go out and do that. And today marks our last episode in that journey. So I think I would say, what should be our next journey to the listeners? Where do you want us to go next and venture out on a overnight trip, or maybe just a longer road trip? Really could have been a road trip, a day road trip that we did for this, but we got to see a lot of cool things. And this episode is kind of just wrap up the last few things we saw on our Out West tour.
Well, what did we see, Brandon?
Well, first of all, if we haven't mentioned enough, we went in the smack dab of winter, in the cold, the snow, the wind. The worst time to go do stuff outside.
Well,
Why didn't you listen to me when I told you we should go in the spring?
I know. I don't know why I was adamant about going in March. Oh, wait. No, wait. I was the one that said we should go later on.
Okay, you're right.
But I would say out of all the days, well, all the days, we were there for 2 days, but the timing of our ride home sucked because I think for the whole, what do you call it, tour of the airfield, the air base, it was pretty good. Towards the end, it started getting a little windy. It wasn't till the very end when we toured the airport part that it started getting really windy.
Well, we just had to go up high.
And then we went up high and that was really windy. And then it just started getting really cold too. So on the way home, every place we stopped, it was just like, it's cold. So, and we've already had our conversations about the cold, so we don't need to talk anymore about that.
But, oh no, we're going to talk more about it.
Oh, we are. Okay.
Because as we go into these next few stops along our path, we dealt with even more cold and more dissatisfaction with the weather. But one of the places on my podcast bucket list that we visited was this place called Iosepa. And it's out the Grantsville. It's out heading towards Dugway, if you know where that is. And in the Skull Valley, another term I learned as I was doing research. But it was this colony of members of the Church of Jesus Christ, Latter-day Saints, that wanted to colonize or wanted to come from Hawaii and live here closer to where the church was. So it's a ghost town now, and there's not much left of it, but I always wanted to go and check it out. It has kind of a cool history. So I learned that it started when in the 1870s, the Hawaiian government would not allow people to emigrate. But in 1889, some 75 Native Hawaiians had gathered in the northern Salt Lake City neighborhood near Warm Springs Park. And that's a whole other episode itself. But they had a lot of struggles. They weren't very accepted in the community. And so the church found a place for them or sent out some missionaries to go find a place for them to live. And they settled on this spot out in the Tooele Dugway area, which is now known as Iosepa, which is a Hawaiian form of Joseph. And they chose it in honor of Joseph F. Smith, who was one of the prophets of the church. So they built this community. They ended up having, I think at most, around 200 residents. And they had stores and a school, a church, all the things you'd need in a town. But when we were there, Nate, did you ever feel like this would be a good place for islanders to live?
Kind of.
Kind of.
Well, it just, man, I went to Hawaii in 97 and I felt like I was there. No, I did not. It was crazy cold.
Terrible.
It was cold.
And so, it's not the best part of Utah.
I have gotten to know, does that sound right? A lot of Polynesians. I've had the pleasure of getting to know. I mean, I already knew my fair share of Polynesians throughout my life. A lot of them super cool people. Love them all. But I've gotten to know even more because they love pickleball. And so there's a lot. They even have a pickleball or Polynesian club. I think they go to the West Jordan Pickler a lot. So I know a lot of them. And I will say this, kind of a tangent, that's why I love pickleball, because out of all sports, it's the one sport that I can make fun of a Polynesian or kind of joke around with them and not be afraid that I'm going to get punched in the mouth or beat up. If you were to do that during a basketball game against an opponent and start making fun of a Polynesian, they would bump you pretty hard. For the most part, a lot of them are pretty strong. So one thing I do love about Polynesians and I'm that way as well is I'm a pretty loud pickleball player, and I'm that way in basketball and sports too, right? I kind of yap and run my mouth or
All
just
aspects of your life,
all
basically.
aspects. I mean, I don't really trash talk, but I goof off a lot when I
Right.
play pickleball. I mean sports. So I do that in pickleball as well, but you can always tell when there's a group of Polynesians playing pickleball because they are super loud. And so when you go to the West Jordan Pickler and there's a lot of the Polynesian pickleball club playing there, it's super loud in there because they're all having a good time. You know, a lot of banter going on when they're playing. So I remember when we were out there, I'm like, oh, and they're known for having big parties, right? You ever been to like a Polynesian like birthday party or any type of party?
I haven't, no.
They throw good parties. There's always a lot of food, just good, fun entertainment.
When I played
Um,
football, we had a luau for our
yeah,
fundraiser, and that was pretty big. That was a pretty good time.
pretty big. Yeah, pretty loud. So I think the location of where they're at, they can party on dudes and not really disturb anybody because they're out in the middle of nowhere. So even that little pavilion that we went to, they could have big old parties till the wee hours of the morning, and it wouldn't matter because it won't be bothering anybody that I could tell.
I know they wanted to come here and be close to the church, but when you're coming from the islands, from Hawaii or from Samoa, Tonga, wherever it may be, this is a big shock, cultural shock, and weather shock.
Yeah, climate.
Yeah. So they had a tough time making it work. They had a tough time with the crops they were trying to do. There was efforts by the church. That the town was never self-sustained. It always had to get extra help from the church to be able to last and survive. And so when the first temple outside of the US or the continental US was announced in Hawaii, everybody left. Everybody went back to Hawaii. And so it just kind of dwindled away. There's not much left of the original town except for a lone fire hydrant that we got a picture of, as well as the cemetery. A lot of people passed away, and so a lot of them are buried in the cemetery, as well as they've even have people, as I was reading an article as recent as 2019, buried there. So it's still a cemetery that's used today. But what they turned it into is kind of a memorial to what it was, and there's still signs of welcome to Iosepa and that kind of stuff. And there's a big statue memorial thing of a warrior that's pretty cool. And every year, so they've got the pavilion and everything that we saw there. And if you read about it, it says everybody's welcome. Anytime you want to go, you can go check it out. But once a year for Memorial Day, they do have a big party there. And a lot of Polynesians and anybody who wants to come is welcome to go and check out this big party, this big Memorial Day celebration.
And Memorial Day is coming up.
Yeah, we should have saved this for then. Dang it.
We should go to the party.
That would be cool to go check out the party. I wish there was more that ghost town aspect, more buildings from back in the day. There's still some relics. I saw that there's an oven that we didn't see that still may be there. But when we were there, man, this was probably one of the worst parts of our whole trip in fighting the climate, wouldn't you say?
The climate.
It was it was so cold and so windy when we
Yeah.
were outside.
Yes. Yeah.
And
And it was bad.
there was snow everywhere, so I was trying to run through the cemetery and check out all the cool things in there, but it was just so unbelievably cold. So I can't imagine what these people had to deal with when they
It was cold. And while we were there was animal tracks that we didn't recognize.
probably a
So
wolf,
could have been wolf, big bear.
cougar,
We don't know. Cougar.
something scary.
So it was a little.
And we even had fears that we wouldn't be able to get out because it's not a paved road.
Yeah,
You just kind of
it's
drive
true.
up on dirt and mud and
And it was
just
shortly
fun.
after we saw our friends get stuck in the salt flats. So
Yeah. But yeah, it was cool to visit. It was cool to see one of my bucket list places. And then as we were driving, you mentioned that there was some kind of a hot spring or something nearby, and we pulled around, flipped a U-turn, and found this place called Horseshoe Springs, which is really close to there.
yeah, that was kind of cool.
Nate went and hopped in,
Just
buck
to
naked.
warm up a little bit from the cold weather.
I think maybe we were off a little bit and thinking it was a hot spring. It actually isn't a hot spring. We went and braved it to even touch the water, and I saw some fish in there that were jumping around. So it's a little bit warmer water, but I think there's a misconception, and there was even some reviews on the page that said everybody thinks this is a hot spring, but it's just a spring. But it was warmer water, right? When we touched it.
Sure.
Not
It
not
was
by
warmer
much.
than what the outside temperature was. So
And that was not a hard thing to beat. But I kind of feel bad that we missed. I mean, we could have gone as far to go check out Dugway. I didn't even know that was a town. I thought it was just a chemical wasteland. But there's even a hotel in Dugway. Did you know that?
uh-uh.
As I was looking on the map,
But we also
there's
drove by Lone Rock, right?
a what?
Is it called Lone Rock? That big rock just sticking out.
Oh yeah, it's a big rock. Oh, we should have climbed it. Gosh dang it, Nate. There's even a cave there.
We're gonna go back. We're going back when it's not
Looks like a
negative 20
castle.
degrees.
That's pretty cool looking. I mean, it looks cool from the road. I was wondering, there's got to be something significant about it, but looks like people climb it. There's a cave-like aspect to it. Pretty cool looking. But I think the coolest thing about this area is it's just lots of really good camping area. I know that everybody wants to go camp in the mountains and the famous campsites, when they do their campouts. This is probably not the most appealing place to go camping, but there's tons of camping land. Even the Iosepa said they want people to go and camp there.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So if you're looking to do things like that, this is a great area. And if you go even a little bit further before you hit Dugway, there's this what looks to be more like a ghost town type relic called Oars. This is probably even too far for us to have gone anyway, but Oars Ranch. It's like I don't know, a little cabin looking thing. Here's a picture of it, Nate.
Where's that at?
Just a little further south than where we're at.
Okay.
That says it's a historic landmark. I don't know much more about it, but and then you keep driving, you got Dugway, which is a whole town, apparently. And just lots of open BLM land for the most part. And maybe as a kid I've gone over here, but that was my first time even going this direction. So I mean it goes back to it again. We're seeing things we've never seen before and maybe never would have unless we were doing this fun podcast thing we do.
That's right.
After we finished being cold, we journeyed home and that was our trip. We survived our trip out west to Wendover, West Wendover, and all the other stops along the way. And I had a good time. Thanks for going on this journey with me, Nate.
Yeah. Good times.
And thanks to all
We'll
of
be back.
you for joining us on our journey as well. We've had a pretty good month, and I think people have enjoyed listening to our Wendover journey, wouldn't you say?
I would say record month so far.
Has been.
But I was gonna say, I think we've got to be up to at least like 25 listeners by now, right?
I'd say 27.
Maybe 27. Been a fun March so far.
Yeah, and keep giving us suggestions. We've had some suggestions that we're going to be getting to, hopefully, as it warms up here. Other things we need to check out. But also, let your friends and family know about the podcast. We want to keep growing, keep expanding, and do more things like this. The more listeners and more fans we have, the more kind of things like this we can do.
Yeah.
And go and give us some positive reviews. I mean, hopefully positive reviews on the
internets.
On the internets, follow us on social media. Give us a review on Apple Podcasts if you use that. Give us 5 stars on Spotify. I don't know what rating the other ones use, but that helps us to get the word out about the podcast. And we want to keep expanding, keep doing this. So
yeah. And we apologize to those who have reached out to us outside of Utah. We just don't have the budget nor the time or funds to go visit places. I know we went to Nevada this month, but we literally crossed the border.
Yeah.
Literally.
But if we keep growing, maybe we'll expand to California.
That's how we get there. That's how we get there. So, but appreciate those who reached out to us outside of Utah to come visit their locations and events.
Keep reaching out. If you've got ideas or suggestions, reach out. Again, thanks for this fun journey, everyone, and keep on listening.
Here's to another 3 years.
Thanks for listening to This Is a Place podcast.
See you next week.